Good evening, Warriors! Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. Hope you guys are doing well. It's been a couple days. I've been running around like a crazy warrior trying to get things done and working over 60 hours a week, so I didn't get a chance to actually do one over the last couple days. But here I go. We've got one tonight, and we'll try to catch up a little bit. I was able to go through all of the shout-outs and everything, but I'll try to keep it to like 1 minute each, and then we'll do that and see it. So shout-outs for today, my friend. Let's do a few of those just to kind of get them out of the way a little bit, and I appreciate, once again, everything you guys are doing and saying. Let's go with Expanse EK24. Thank you, my friend. Shout-outs to CS, Derek, M. Diakite, Retention Lifestyle, Just Me, a good book from a friend called The Koran. Make sure that's a good book. Adjia, and Ghulam Raza. So thank you guys, and we'll keep doing shout outs every time. So 1 minute, we'll start talking about our topic here. So today, guys, we're going to focus on, I tried to kind of combine these together a little bit. And so the actual topic is going to kind of include a lot of things talking about how to look at other people when you're on semen retention. So let's kind of look at that a little bit here. I'm just kind of looking at several people that kind of gave me topics here. So for instance, we'll take a look at video System Mae Wendy had talked about needing more time with the family becomes more important on SR. I think agree with that. Control, master your emotions as a man under SR. AJ Murjani. So thank you, AJ, for that comment. You're exactly right about that. I got some kinds of people in my face here. And the other one I'm talking about is Gregory Bolivar had a nice comment, a lot of great words talking about brahmacharya, Taoism. So we'll talk about that a little bit too. Why do you need sex? All these are kind of related. So let's kind of talk about that a little bit. I think I kind of covered them all. But let's talk about that. All right, so we're talking, my friends, about the idea of Taoism, brahmacharya. Now, I'm going to go with some of the things that Gregory talked about, because I like what he's talking about here. He's actually talking about the fact that under these type of things, Taoism, brahmacharya, the male is not releasing. So the male, I think he called it like Jing, Vura, Semen, spiritual energy. They call it the yellow stream he's talking about. I think there's a lot to what he's talking about, and I appreciate a shout out to Gregory on this one. Same thing with Optical Man, talking about why do we need sex. I like that as well. These ideas that, my friends, we're talking about here is under these type of things, and I've studied some of this myself, especially brahmacharya. There is a sense that the male is not supposed to release. And warriors, that's a very interesting type of comment to look at. Because if a male is not supposed to be releasing, I'm at myself 1,010 days or whatever it might be, all of a sudden that male takes on a whole different persona and role. As you guys know, as you're doing this more, you're becoming a lot stronger, a lot more spiritual to God. And this is why we talk about whether you need sex or not. And I think that was mentioned by, it might have been Optical Man here. Or if you, and controlling your mastering emotions, AJ's talking as well about some of this stuff. When you talk about these type of things, and even can releasing be dangerous, Odingo Mubuta, and certainly Gregory's talking about this too. We're talking about a situation where you don't really need to release. Now, I realize in this society, that's kind of an anathema. That's kind of like a curse saying, what is wrong with you, Vigor Warriors 2? What's wrong with you? How can you say that? Well, when you look at the way the world has always been, males need to have their full power. You need to have your full power. You need to be able to be in tune with the society. Forget about nowadays. Let's go back to the old days. Way old days. Caveman days. Going to the dinosaurs around. You need to have everything in your power to be able to survive those times and not get eaten by a Rex or some kind of brontosaurus or whatever it might be. You need to have all your energy, all your wits about you, and all your physical prowess. And that's only if you're keeping everything inside you. Now, the one exception I've always talked about, and this is biblical in the Bible I look at, but it's also something in a lot of other areas like Taoism and brahmacharya is talking about as well, is that the only time you actually should be releasing anything is when you're trying to have a child. And when you're procreating, that's the purpose for it. Otherwise, you should keep that within you. Now, when Greg talks about this, and we've had a lot of people mention this too, and I think that's what our man, I'm trying to think here, guys. I'm trying to combine these together and make sure we, Odinga is talking about releasing can be dangerous. Releasing can be dangerous. Too much releasing, all of a sudden, you become weaker. And what ends up happening is that you need to keep that energy inside of you so you become stronger. And this is why it is a practice. And I think I had a question before by someone, and I can't remember the name. I'll have to go through when I go through everything here. That I guess I didn't answer the question. You're probably right. I didn't totally answer it when it came to can males have sex? Can warriors have sex without releasing? And the answer is yes, of course. And when you look at brahmacharya and Taoism, you can do that. Now, it's not easy, and it takes time to have that level of self-control. But that's why when they talk about, having intercourse, and you can go for hours, that takes a lot of self-control for a male not to release. You have a lot of people releasing really a lot earlier than that, within a few minutes, and all of a sudden everything's, and so the pleasure, whatever the pleasure might be, is not there as it is for either one of the people involved. But certainly not for the male who's releasing energy and that's it, and then they're falling asleep. So the thing you have to realize is that unless you're trying to have a child, there's a lot of people out there in areas like Taoism and brahmacharya and celibacy and parts of Christianity who's talking about the fact that males really should not be releasing. And this is why we have more and more people now who are getting popular on this idea of the fact that males need to hold their energy in and not succumb to these temptations of this false world, talking about how important it is to release and how healthy it is, all these type of things, when we've had ages and ages of different types of philosophies that basically talk about the fact that you should not be releasing and that males should be able to have intercourse without releasing. Now, once again, that's not something that we promote in our society. People look at that and say, this is crazy. But like any other habit, you can do it. Now, can it get to the fact which you're overwhelming? Of course, if you're not transmuting the energy and you're not using techniques and you're sitting there, watching videos and all this kind of stuff, yeah, it's very possible for you to kind of hurt yourself, maybe trying to block it too much, and now you're trying to kind of stop the flow, but you created the flow. Now, the idea here, guys, is the fact that you should not have to, you should be able to have these exercises in the back of your mind. So if you see an attractive woman, I saw a couple today again who's sitting right in front of me, kind of, laying out, kind of flirting, and I had to take some deep breaths myself to not go down that path. You have to be aware of it, but you also realize this is not that important, right? They could be walking in front of you nude, and you have to kind of move on to other things. And this is what Taoism, brahmacharya, all these other things we're talking about, retention, has the same common thing. A male warrior should be able to get aroused, excited, have intercourse, and not release. Now, I understand what I'm saying sounds like it's a crazy person talking. But if you really examine things, warriors, you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll see that this energy you're expending out, it can create a baby. And because it can create a child, it is very powerful. As one person mentioned, I'll have to kind of go back to that statement with another video, but it's almost like Captain America, right? The super soldier serum that the United States in the movie and the comic books put together so then they could beat the Germans in World War II. It's that super serum. But what's the serum really is, my friends? It's your SR. It's your semen. It's your your seed. That's what's powerful. And we've been deceived in this society for multiple reasons to try to give that up. Something that God has given us. And why would God want you to give something up that he's made inside of you? If you think about it, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So the reason, obviously, you're doing is to have children. But if you expend it all and people get, like dysfunctional types of results, all of a sudden there's going to be less children. And once again, there might be some kind of organized type of system out there that they're trying to kind of depopulate people in many ways. And this could be one of them. Males not being strong enough to be able to defend themselves because all they're doing is releasing. Right? All they're doing is being shown pictures. All they're doing is going ahead and kind of chasing people around, maybe having sex, maybe not, but they can't control anything they're doing. It's almost they're being controlled by their own, and as Charles Peake said, controlled by your chakra down below. And you can't never be controlled by the chakra down below. You have 7 chakras you should be working with. So the idea, my friends and fellow warriors, is the fact that we talk about this. And once again, I got shout outs to all these people that we talked about here. From talking about Gregory, who's made some tremendous comments. I appreciate that, Gregory. And also, your Boy Lucid and My Vaccinated Neighbors Refuse to Die. Marriage and SR, well, that's another one we forgot to mention. And Burning Phoenix, Spiritual Path. Both of those go into this too as well. Because when we talk about this, we're talking about marriage. In a marriage, you still should be able to have intercourse. I think people have asked me about this too. There's no reason why you can't have intercourse. And that's happened. My wife and I still have wonderful intimacy. But the fact is, as time goes on, you learn to control your behaviors. And if you want both things to happen, you've got to figure out a way to kind of use that transmutation and the mind control that you have to be able to say, no, I'm not going to release. No matter what situation this is, I have to control myself. I can't let my body control what I'm doing. I'm not saying that's easy, my friends, but I'm saying it is possible. And that's when we talk about Taoism and we talk about the things we're talking about. You're talking about a spiritual path that people are going down. So your Boy Lucid, a shout out to you, my friend. My Vaccinated Neighbors Refuse to Die, a shout out. Burning Phoenix, talking about spiritual paths, all these type of things. Video System Mae Wendy, More Time with Family. Of course, guys, when you're sitting there and you're decided that you're not going to release no matter what, you're going to spend more time with your family. You're going to use that energy spending more time with your kids or your relatives or anybody else that's important around you. Because women are not that important. That's why we talk about this type of thing. If you're into this 8 months to a year, women are the last thing you're talking about. Yes, you'll notice women like I notice women today. Right in front of you, playing with their hair, laying straight out, all kinds of craziness. Like laying in front of me, I couldn't even get by them. And I'm trying to work. I'm trying to get work done. It's the last thing I freaking notice. But I do notice it. And it's okay to notice it. Because once again, you notice it and you know your body's reacting to something, making sure you avoid that temptation. Once again, it's a nice flattering thing, but I'm not at this point in my life needing something like that. And once again, there's no reason why you still can't have intercourse, especially with your wife or something like that, without releasing. And I think that's something to think about as you guys go through this. So once again, Murjani, thank you. Control your emotions as a man. Yes, control your emotions. A lot of that happens more with semen retention as time goes on as well. And also, once again, Gregory, thank you so much. A lot of things you're talking about with Shin and Ojas, with brahmacharyas and Taoism. I think we'll talk about that more in a later broadcast, but you're making great, great types of information and observations here that we need to have. And also, Odingo, thank you for your comment as well. And Optical Man, why do we need sex? I don't think we need sex. And that sounds crazy to you. I don't think we need sex for pleasure. I think there's a lot of other types of pleasures within yourself you're getting from the Lord that you don't need that pleasure. That's more of a man-made type of thing, over the centuries. And really the bottom line is the only reason you can't even have that if you wanted to. But you got to control and not release. And the key is releasing. So it may seem like it's a little bit contradictory, but what I'm really saying, guys, is that you need to control that energy. Now, when we talk about having interaction with your wife, that's one thing. It's more probable, however, if you're not with a wife, then all of a sudden your temptation level goes sky high because now you're with someone else's wife, or you're with some girl who's not married to you. And that's a different dynamics, and all of a sudden now you have girlfriends all over the place, and that's an easy way to release on top of it. And what does that really mean? It's one thing to have intercourse with your wife. It's another thing to have intercourse with several women at the same time, and girlfriends and things like that. And that's where the temptation comes in. Having intercourse with your wife is a normal type of thing. But again, we're not talking about releasing. We're talking having intimacy, and that takes a lot of practice. There's no doubt about that. But it's not impossible. And we go back to that. So when people ask me, I'm going to give you a definite answer. Yes, in my opinion, you can not release even after a long period of time of intercourse. It takes time, and it takes a lot of work, but it can be done. And that saves, obviously, your energy and be able to transmute it for other things. Okay, my friends. Well, I enjoyed this one. There's a lot of importance. I also want to mention one by Neil Meliment. Neil's talking about why attract other women, and that's a good point. Neil mentioned this, and then I get to it, but I'm going to get to it now. Neil talked about the fact that why are we talking about this when in fact you don't really want to attract women? Yeah, and Neil, you bring up a good point. But if you've kind of followed back in the beginnings when I started this, the reason I started a lot of talking about this was the idea that this is a huge problem right now in our society. It hasn't always been a big problem, but with the onset of technology and imaging and pictures and all those things that we talk about, pornography, this becomes an issue. And the level of attraction is important to recognize. And a lot of you guys who've been signed up to the channel and talked it over the last year and a half, getting close to 2 years now, you guys, this is an important issue when we talk about females. And a lot of you guys are younger, so you want female companionship, and that's understandable. So Neil makes always a very good point here, as we've made in the past. This information is good, guys, but remember, you don't really want to attract women. They will be attracted, there's no doubt. And they'll be flying all over you. In fact, the less you try, the more they're going to be after you. But the idea is, unless you're looking for that one person, you're not really going to be concerned about it. So that's why, as Neil talks about this, it's not something that you really want to focus on, and you should not be doing retention just to get women, because that's kind of, they call that an oxymoron, and it's kind of the opposite of what you want. And so what you really want to do is make sure you got goals and purposes, and you're working through your God to be able to move in the right direction. You don't necessarily have to focus on women as your identity. And that's a key type of thing. All right, I know this is long, my friend, but again, I wanted to cover a lot of these because we had a lot of great comments, and I wanted to make sure that I got them all in. Okay, my friends, so again, have a good rest of your night. We'll do another one. We'll try to do another one tomorrow if we can. And until then, my friend, remember two things that the Vigor Warrior 2 says all the time. One, every day is a great new day for a warrior. And number two, never, never quit, and continue to battle